All right, we now live over on YouTube and on Twitch. We're now live over on YouTube and on Twitch. All right, y'all. Appreciate all y'all coming in here. What's going on to here? Appreciate you. All right, no one is good, not one. What do you mean by that, user? Go ahead and come on up. Well, I can't invite you up, so you'll have to go ahead and click on the little guest box to get invited up. What about the Bible? I don't like talking to comments, so go ahead and request to come on up, and then we can go ahead and have a talk because I can't invite you up. I think it all depends on your definition of good, what your definition of good is. And from what I've seen from Christian theology, good just means, whatever the Christian God says. I don't think that's a very good measurement. Of course, it's just who I am. All right, cool. That completely makes the concept of heaven completely useless. You don't think? All right, y'all. I do see people coming on. Now, there's people coming in. Hey, appreciate that to hear. I do see people coming in. Y'all go ahead and start liking the live and start sharing it. If you'd like to have a discussion with me, go ahead and come on up, and we could definitely discuss. Yeah, I know that you're going to quote the Bible, user, but I don't care what the Bible says. Why should I go off that standard? Turkey burger, you put in a plus, but I'm not sure what that means. But anyway, y'all, if y'all want to go ahead and discuss this, go ahead and come on up. Go ahead and like the live. Go ahead and share it. Go ahead and have a discussion. Let's go ahead and talk about this. What's going on, Alexi? With me? Yeah, of course I'll be a good person. I'm a good person now, and I don't believe a heaven exists. I think after we die, we rot in the ground. I don't believe in an actual heaven, so... but I appreciate the heart, but I do want to ask people, like, if because this is a discussion I've actually had with Christians before, that if heaven isn't real for them, they're not sure if they will be good or not. What's going on, Kay? I'm doing one-on-one for a minute. Let me just do one-on-one for a second, and I'll go ahead and bring you up. Yeah, user, I'm not gonna keep talking back and forth you in the comments. Go ahead and request. Go ahead and come on up, and then we'll have that discussion. All right. I don't want to keep talking back and forth to the comments with you. All right, we have a guest, and I appreciate all my guests. Luca, how's it going?
Hey, I'm blessed, man. How you doing?
I'm all right, Luca. Are you over 18, and do you believe in some sort of heaven?
Yeah, I'm 22, and I'm a Christian.
A Christian, so you do believe in a heaven?
Yeah.
If heaven isn't real, would you still be a good person?
Yeah, like if I was, if none of that was real and it was all just fairy tale, and then the basis of this was just my own experience, then yeah, like I would qualify as a good person predicated on myself.
All right, cool. So what is the point of heaven?
The point of heaven is to show that if there is an absolute type of existence, such as like heaven and God is a standard of what is good, then that simply means that our standards just wouldn't be enough, right? So it would just be a relative standard. So it would be a relative versus an absolute standard, and I would rather choose the absolute one.
How do you know an absolute one even exists?
Based on, so you can use a bunch of different ways, and the one I like to use often is like the paradigm approach, comparing different worldviews and seeing which one is a fortiori offers a better explanation contrasted to the other ones.
Okay, I mean that is an interesting approach, but every time someone has said this, the only explanation that the so-called other worldview offers is that God exists, and I'm just gonna follow what this Bible says, even though I can't prove that God actually inspired this Bible. So why should I follow that?
Why should you follow it? Because you can't prove it? Is that what the question was?
No, I'm saying I'm let me ask a question of why should I follow that. The more pertinent question is why believe that, because the other worldview, all it offers to me is just to presuppose that an ultimate creator exists and he's the reason why we think and feel and do things, but there's no way to prove that that's actually true.
Yeah, so like how do we prove things to be true at all? We use evidence, and how evidence is qualified even by scientists and mathematicians is that they form propositions, and they start off with a proposition that is true, that they think is true. So they start off with an axiom, and then they use that proposition to prove other propositions to be true. So we can do the same thing with God, for example.
That's not really how science works. So within science, the hypothesis, you actually try to prove it false. Like that's why you have to any like prediction that you make in science has to be falsifiable. Like for example, if I say there's a dragon in the middle of Neptune, that's an unfalsifiable claim, right? But if I were to say that Neptune is going to be in this plane on the solar system on August the 25th at 5 p.m., then that's a claim that we can actually test. You feel what I'm saying? What the entire thing about God existing is that you're going to get to a point where it's a completely untestable claim. So once you have an unfalsifiable, untestable claim, there's no way to show that it's true or false. In science, you have to make claims that are falsifiable, and the God claim is just completely unfalsifiable.
Okay, so let me ask, would you say if something is untestable, it therefore makes it false?
No, I'm not going to say if it's not testable it makes it false. I'm just saying that because it makes it unfalsifiable, there's really no way to actually test it or show that it's true. And so that if that's the case, there's no reason to believe that it is.
Well, you can know something is true by propositions, and if propositions didn't exist, then we wouldn't have science.
No, what I'm saying is that the propositions that science makes are always falsifiable. They don't make like unfalsifiable propositions.
Okay, so let me clarify. I'm pretty sure you heard of Descartes. Descartes starts off with this idea of "I think, therefore I am." So there is a axiom that they assume to be true, right? So, however, the issue with this is that when it comes to the axiom itself, I think, therefore I am, that itself is just circular reasoning. So they just presuppose that to be the case so that science can evolve and be better.
We're not presupposing that we're thinking. We are thinking.
How do you know that you're thinking?
Because I am.
You're just begging the question, what is I am?
Like the nature of being? No one has solved the nature of being yet. I don't know what the nature of being is.
Right. You think the nature of being, though, is just yourself individually, right?
That's all we have at the moment. I mean, the thing is, our sensory experience is the only thing we can presuppose, right? That because we can't solve solipsism. Like, I can't prove that I'm not a brain in a vat, right? So, that's the only thing that we can presuppose. But presupposing our sense experience doesn't necessitate a God either.
Yeah, I'm not saying that it's an argument for a God, but if you're arguing against the case for a God on the merits of there not being proof for it, then you don't have any proof for solipsism being true or false either. You're just presupposing your own position.
None of us do. Right, none of us do.
Again, you're just presupposing your own position. You don't escape the issue.
No, I'm presupposing that I have sense experience.
Do you presuppose that you're your own individual being?
Right, we have to. There's no other thing that there's no other way we can show that we're not. We have to presuppose that we're a being that thinks.
Okay, so presuppositions are necessary.
Yeah, for sense experience. For some things they are necessary, like our sense experience. We have to presuppose it.
Okay, so if you're willing to presuppose sense experience for, in your case, in this instance, then it doesn't then make sense for you to deny the presuppositions that people make for God existing.
You can make the presupposition for God exist. I mean, the thing is, so the problem with the presupposition of God existing is that it literally doesn't get us anywhere, right? So you just presuppose God exists and then what?
You don't have to presuppose, though.
Hold on. No one jump in. It's one person at a time. You presuppose God exists and then what?
Yeah, so a lot of classical philosophers, what they do is that they'll start off with the proposition that God exists, and then they use that to build some type of epistemology. Epistemology is just going to be like the study of what we know and how we know it, right? So if there is a God in an absolute sense that exists, then we have falsifiable means of discerning between true things and false things.
Ow.
Because God is, as Thomas Aquinas defines God is just pure being. So God is going to be like the sustainer for all existence. So if he sustains all of existence, and God himself is an existing pure being, then what would follow is that we have a creation in which is actually created and then actually has some type of existence in which we can say that is true because God exists.
Right, but the thing is, when we look into existence, there's never been a thing that exists that the supernatural explains it. It's always a natural cause. So why will we take, anything that you can take that exists, never has ever had a supernatural explanation. None of them. Nothing. So why would we take existence in of itself as a supernatural cause and not a natural one?
That's a good question. So there are different categories of how we qualify something to be natural and supernatural. So, for example, when we use science and apply it, science is, in a general sense, going to apply to natural things because that's all science is trained to study for, just natural things. But if we're talking about something that is supernatural, this is a category outside of science. So, when it comes to existence, there are different types of ways something can exist, such as when we think about abstract things. There are abstract things that exist, such as like I can think of a unicorn that exists in an abstract sense, but it's not existence in the same way that I exist. So there are different types of existence.
Right, but abstract things are not real. Abstract things don't exist.
It's true, right? But what I'm saying is that there are different types of existence.
How did you get to how do you get there? What is existence in the first place to you then? Because if imaginary things exist, then I can say that blue dragons exist because I just thought of it out of my head, right?
No, that's why I keep the categories separate and I don't mix the two. So when I talk about the unicorn and the blue dragon, like you brought up, that blue dragon is going to exist mind dependent. It's just going to be existing in my mind in its abstract form, but it's not going to exist in an actual form.
Okay, so then it doesn't exist then.
Yeah, we can say that, sure.
All right, cool. So if it goes back to my question then. When it comes to existence in of itself, why would we take it to be supernatural and not a natural emergent property, just like how we see everything else? There's nothing, like I said, there's never been anything that exists in our universe that has a supernatural explanation. Everything is either some sort of rules around physics and chemistry and biology. Every single thing. Nothing has ever been, like wizards or whatever. So while we say that existence in of itself has to be supernatural, and there has to be we have to presuppose a supernatural agent behind it. I don't see the reason to do that.
Yeah, the reason to do that would some arguments, like in the case of God, offer greater explanations than a naturalist could give. And I take
Like
myself
what?
to be some, like for example, I'll use Alvin Patenga's view. So we have this idea of what could be, which is like a possibility, and things that are necessary. So things that just couldn't have been otherwise. So I'm pretty sure you agree that possibilities exist.
Possibilities exist. Like I'm not sure what that means to say that possibilities exist.
Would you agree that things could have been different?
Things could have been different. Yeah.
Okay, that's a possibility. So you agree that possibilities exist.
No, they don't exist because just because things could have been different, but they're not. So that possibility doesn't exist anymore.
Okay, so if that possibility doesn't exist, that makes you the determinist, and you really don't believe in possibility at all.
What do you mean by that? The thing is, it's possible tomorrow that I can, step outside my house and get hit by an 18-wheeler, right? That's a possibility. But that's something that I'm just making up in my head. That doesn't mean that just because it's a possibility, therefore, when I go outside tomorrow, it happens. Unless you're going by the many rules interpretation, which we can't even prove.
Right. Okay. So you have your idea of possibility is something that is just completely going to be mind dependent, but it's not necessarily true in any real ontological or concrete sense. Like possibilities are just abstract to you.
Yeah, possibilities are basically abstract. Like I said, it's possible that, tomorrow I get a promotion and get $1 million, but like it hasn't happened. You know what I mean? Like it's just something in my head. There's no really way to say that exists now.
Right. Okay. So I don't see how this doesn't make you a determinist. But if you're saying that possibilities don't exist, things really couldn't have been different than they are now, then you're holding to a view of certainty of the state of affairs that we have now could not have been different.
No, things could have still been different, but they just weren't. That doesn't mean that things can't be different. They're just not. Like I said, I can get hit by an 18-wheeler tomorrow. That doesn't mean it's going to happen just because I thought about it, or it's possible.
Correct.
And if you don't get hit by that 18-wheeler, right, then you would say it's no longer a possibility. It's just going to be necessarily true that you just didn't get hit by it, right?
I just didn't get hit by an 18-wheeler. Yeah.
From highways.
Everybody mute up, please. It's Luca's turn.
Yeah. So I guess I'm just kind of confused on your position, I guess, because a determinist would posit that when a state of affairs occur, then these were necessary. So anytime you didn't get hit by an 18-wheeler, so therefore it was necessary that you did not get hit by the 18-wheeler. Therefore, it's not possible. It couldn't have been different.
I don't know if it could have been different or not. Here's the thing, Luca. I'm not a philosophical guru. I don't care about determinism, libertarian free will. That's not something that I actually care about or know about a lot. So saying that I'm a determinist, I'm not going to argue against that. I don't even know what that is. That's
Right,
not
okay,
what I
so-
care about.
Right. So do you care about epistemology and how you know things?
Yeah, sure. I care about that.
Okay. How do you know How do you know for things to be true? Like Alvin Plantinga would argue that we know things to be true because we have a creator who is in and of itself a knowledge.
Okay, I would say we know things to be true because it comports with reality. We use empiricism, we use pragmatism, parsimony, we use the scientific method. I would say for almost everything that we use the scientific method. You know what I mean? Those are how we know things are true or not.
Yeah, I got you. I mean, it doesn't seem at all too much different from how like a comatose patient has like a dream for a long experience of time, and they can draw some type of parsimony between like the reality that they're living in their dream. They can do the same thing.
Right.
It doesn't make it true.
Yeah, it doesn't make it true. Yeah, it could be the same thing. Like we will know that, hey, this entire time you were in a coma, and according to all the evidence and data that there is, you were in a coma. You know what I mean? So everything that you dreamed of was just a dream, because we have actual evidence that you were in a coma. Here's the hospital records. Here's the doctors. Here's the pictures of you in a coma. Here's the fact that the last date that you remember is January the 2nd, 2025, and today's date is, what's today's date? June 26, 2025. So, boom, that's all the evidence to show that you were in a coma for the past 6 months, and what you dreamed was just a dream. It wasn't anything tangibly real. You know what I mean? That's how we show how things are real. We get the evidence. When it comes to, we know things are true because there's a creator and God says so. Cool. Where's the evidence of that?
I'll give you some like pushback on what you just said. So I gave that example for that particular reason. I'm glad you accepted that. So we can have evidence of like a person being comatose, and then we can draw some type of correlation between that comatose patient and the person that you say exists in quote unquote reality. So when I ask you about what is then reality, you would then have to make a bunch of presuppositions on like what you think things to be true are, right? You'd have to make these presuppositions.
Yeah, we have to make, like I said, our sense experience is the only thing we can presuppose. Like I have to presuppose that I'm a thinking being. I have to presuppose that you're a thinking being. I have to presuppose that,
Okay.
because there's no other way to show that's not true.
Okay, I got you. With that being said, how do you connect that with epistemology? So when you say you know something, how do you know that? How do you know that the propositions that you do know of to be true?
We have to come to a consensus on it. Like, for example, if I jump off my apartment building right now, I won't break my leg, and then I jumped off of it and I do break my leg, and then you saw me break my leg, and then I go to the hospital and my leg is broken, and there's hospital bills and my leg is broken, then jumping off the building mean I break my leg. That's the entire consensus. It's not just me thinking it, presupposing it. It happens.
Yeah, of course. So yeah, like if you were to jump off like your apartment building, or not your apartment building, but just off like your building, you wouldn't break your legs. But you would break your legs in the case if you were to jump off like a very large apartment building. What I am saying though,
Yeah, mine is like 3 stories high, so yeah, I'll break my legs.
yeah, like, but what I'm saying though is there's a prior to that, and the prior to that is the knowledge that you ascertain, right? So that knowledge, how do you know that to actually be the case? Because you're only saying you're making an inductive appeal, but there is a prior to induction itself, which is knowledge.
Yeah, right. We know that through our experience. Like I'm in my 30s, right? So all my life in my 30s, people who jumped off 30-story buildings usually, for the most part, broke their legs. So it's like there's only been a very few times where that didn't happen, and they were very, very lucky. So like that, I don't have any reason to believe that won't be the case anymore. Like all human experience, goes into this.
Okay, yeah. So if there is, we ascertain knowledge by induction. So, but we ascertain knowledge by like the study of induction. But would you say that this is the case that before the scientific method, before we can actually induce certain things, that there was no knowledge because there was no induction?
Can you say that in a plain way? I want to make sure that I'm actually understanding what you mean.
Okay, so to ascertain knowledge, it requires induction. Do you agree with that?
What does that mean?
So for you to know something, it has to be induced from from repeated events, right?
Yeah, for me to know something, usually, yeah, it has to be repeated events. There are things that we know inherently because that's just how our bodies evolved, like language. You know what I mean? That's something that we kind of know inherently. But when, yeah, for most things, yeah, we have to, it has to be repeatable. It has to be like consensus, for lack of a better word. Sure.
Okay, so prior to the scientific method, prior to any type of inducing by scholars or historians, right? So prior to any of this, did knowledge exist? Were there things to know?
Yeah, of course. Like before science, there was the prehistoric times, right? And they obviously knew things.
Okay, but if I was to ask them, they wouldn't be able to, like,
They wouldn't
let's
be
say,
able to put it into words that we understand. They won't understand the scientific method. But before the scientific method was actually put down, people were doing the scientific method, like like Aristotle and Pythagorean and them, and the Indians and the Chinese. They were doing science before the official scientific method was written down. Sure.
okay, I got you. And sure, we can grant that. So induction, would you say induction simply just tells you what something is, or like what is this thing, right? It just describes something.
Right. Sure. It just describes something. I don't mean to cut you off, but we're like 5 minutes over. So I got like one more minute with you, and I got to move on to the rest. All right.
Got you,
But
coach.
but yeah. Yeah, basically, I would say that in induction will tell us like what we like learn, like how learning through through experience. You feel what I'm saying? That's mostly how we learn almost everything.
Yeah, so it starts with the experience. What I'm saying in the case of God is that there is a prior precondition to experience. So when we talk about fortiori things with greater reason, greater justification and greater reasoning, then there is a greater reasoning to say that our experiences are justified because the precondition to that is God.
How do you know that?
But you don't have a precondition.
Right? How do you know that?
I don't know because it's reasonable.
That's not reasonable. Why?
It doesn't. Where's the contradiction if it's not reasonable?
There's have to be a contradiction. I'm saying it's not reasonable because there's no reason to believe that. You're just saying that it is because there. That's what.
No, it's simple modus ponens. It's
Okay, I could. Can I just say the same thing about Olodumare?
I don't know what that is.
Olodumare is the Yoruba god of West African Yoruba religion, right? I can just say the same thing about that, right? Like the reason why black people exist is because Olodumare. I'm a black person, therefore Olodumare.
You could try to say that. I would critique the basis of like what this God is, though. Like we would have to talk about that God, and then we talk about Yahweh, and just examine the two natures of both beings.
It's the same exact nature as Yahweh. He's just a black guy.
He's a black guy, so he's created.
Right. He has the same exact. Hold on, everybody's pause. I'm gonna give me one more minute. He's the same exact thing as like, every single nature that you think Yahweh has. Olodumare has. He's a black guy that has a sword.
Yeah, he's a black guy with a sword, so therefore he's not identical to Yahweh because Yahweh is uncreated. That guy is created, though.
No, he's not
Describe a
created.
composite thing.
No, he's not created. He's just a black guy.
You said he's black. You said he's just a black guy. That's a composite thing with a sword. He has a sword
Yeah.
and he's black.
We're like what we picture as a black person. That's what Olodumare is. He has my skin color.
Oh, perfect. I mean, you just described a being who is composite, who has characteristics that are separable from himself. That's why you said he's black and he has a sword. All those things are separable. God is not. He's immutable.
How do you know that?
Because God doesn't have a sword, nor is he black. That's
I know. Yeah, he is. God is black. Olodumare is black, and he's God.
Yeah, if he's black and he's God, and you're saying he's identical to Yahweh, they're not identical on the merits of him being black and him having a sword. He has
They're not identical. He's Olodumare is greater than Yahweh because he's black.
He's greater than Yahweh because he's black, but
Yep,
him being black and having a sword.
Because he's black and has a sword and has a very big dong. Like we can do this all day, bro. We can just give people characteristics and say that that God exists because that's it. Like that's the entire presuppositional argument.
Yeah, your presupposition though it doesn't make it more justified than mine because yours is composite. You're describing a composite being with a sword that's just like you and he has a dong.
So
it's not fortieriorized. It's not even more justified than mine because then yours requires a justification because he's actually created.
no, mine is not actually created. He's the beginning and the end, and the beginning is black and the end is black. Therefore, he's black.
Okay, so the beginning is black, the end is black. He has a sword also. Is that sword also uncreated?
Yeah, the sword is also uncreated. He created it from his ass. Like we could just do this all day, bro. This is what I'm saying. This is what presupposition is.
Oh, wait, no,
Like
don't run from
nothing
that. Don't run
justifies
from that.
anything, bro. Like
No,
because you could
don't
just
run
ask me
from
the
that.
same thing. You could just
Don't
ask me the
run from
same
that.
thing. You just ask me the same. You could just ask me the same thing over and over and over. You know what I'm saying? It's none of it's just justified.
Wait, hold on. Don't run from that, right? Because you just said he
what?
created a sword. This created sword that's composite in of itself comes from that God. You're not running. You're not even answering the composition point. You're just expounding on it.
What is the what do you mean by the composition point? What do you mean by that?
Made of a bunch of parts.
Yeah, your God is not made from a bunch of parts.
That's why I'm saying they're not identical.
So your God is not made from a bunch of parts. So your God is not made from parts.
Yeah, he's immutable. I'm pretty sure you know what immutable means.
He's immutable. That means he's made from nothing.
If he's immutable, that means he cannot change. He's not made from nothing, no.
Great. That means he doesn't exist because nothing is not a thing. Thanks for playing. Appreciate you being up here, Luca. All right, y'all. Thank you for everybody being up here. I appreciate y'all. Keep liking it live and keep sharing it. Keep liking it live and keep sharing it. We are at 3.9K likes. Where is? Oh, Mac. How's it going, Mac? Mac, I'm gonna bring you up in a second. All right. Appreciate you being here, Mac. All right. We have Fix California, Mufford, and Essence up on the stage. I'm gonna get you guys in a bit. We do have 4K likes, 17 people in here. If you're watching me over on Facebook, I appreciate you. Watching me over on YouTube, I appreciate you. We're going to go ahead and keep the ball rolling. Fix California, are you over 18 and do you believe in some sort of heaven? You there, California? California, can't hear you. California going once. California going twice. All right. All right. So walk with Timothy. Go ahead and come on up. I don't need YouTube to make money. I make plenty of money on my own. All right. Mufford, and I can't read the rest, but Mufford, how's it going? Are you over 18? Muford, how's it going, Muford? Are you over 18 and do you believe in some sort of heaven?
I am 37, and yes, I do believe in heaven.
Alrighty. If heaven isn't real, would you still be a good person?
Yes.
Cool.
This way.
What is the point? Cool. What is the point of heaven?
For us all to get together and have a talk.
So to get together and have a talk with who?
Everybody. Our family gets to come back together.
Oh, okay. So our family gets to. Right. So our family gets to come back together. Cool. How do we know heaven exists?
We're sitting on it.
We're sitting on it. Are you trolling me right now, Buford?
No.
Okay, so heaven is on earth?
It's everywhere.
Heaven is everywhere. So if heaven is everywhere, how can I tell the difference between heaven and a place like, I don't know, the jungles of the Congo?
Maybe your heaven is the jungles of the Congo.
The jungles of the Congo where children are being enslaved and raped every day.
What are you doing in the jungles of the Congo?
All right, yeah, Buford, listen to my question.
Okay.
So
ahead.
you're saying that heaven is everywhere and everything. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So if heaven is everywhere and everything, that means heaven is not necessarily a good thing, right?
It can be either one, and that other place is hell. It's the same place.
Okay, so heaven and hell are the same places, and they're both everywhere?
Yes.
If they're both everywhere, then that means that it's completely useless. Then it's like nonsense.
How is it useless when it teaches you a lesson?
What lesson is this supposed to be teaching me?
I mean, teaching you how to be a steward of this place, teaching you how to grow food, teaching you how to fix cars, teaching you how to make a nuclear generator, teaching you how it's key.
All right. Essence, how's it going? Are you over 18 and do you believe in some sort of heaven? You there, Essence? We'll wait for Essence to get off mute. Mac, you there?
Hello. Man, hey.
There you go.
Essence is back.
Essence is back. There you go. All right. Essence, how's it going? Are you over 18 and do you believe in some sort of heaven?
I'm absolutely over 18, and I absolutely believe in heaven.
Great. So you're God. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say you're God. Do you believe in a God that made a heaven?
Oh, absolutely. God made heaven, yes, heaven and earth.
Cool. What is heaven for?
Heaven is, right now, it's a holding place for those that transitioned believing in Christ and those that transitioned that did not believe in Christ. Because there is a gulf, a separation, a chasm that separates the right side from the wrong side. So there are people that live on the right side that are going to live for eternity, and there are those that are on the wrong side, those that don't believe in Christ, that may end up in hell eventually. There is a 1,000-year period called the millennium, which is a period of teaching.
All right,
And
cool.
most of the people-
I've heard, we don't need to preach. All right, so cool. If we assume, just to humor me real quick, if heaven isn't real, would you still be a good person?
Yes, I believe I would still be a good person,
Even if heaven wasn't real, right?
but heaven is real.
Okay, so now I'm saying, like, just humor me for a second, for the sake of argument. Let's pretend that heaven isn't real. I don't believe that there is a heaven. I think after we die, we just rot in the ground and that's it. So humor me for a second. Let's just pretend that heaven isn't real. You would still be a good person. So what would be the point of heaven or any religions?
The point of heaven is heaven is going to be where you will have the opportunity to live forever, never die. You have a beautiful spiritual body that never ages, no diseases, no missing limbs, and heaven's going to be a place where the weather will be beautiful. There'll be no tears.
Essence, you're a little tough to hear. Did you do something?
Yeah, you are a little low. It's a little tough to hear you. I can hear you good, but it is a little low. If you can speak up just a little bit or get closer to the mic, if you can do that. Sorry about
Can
that,
you
Essence.
hear
Go
me
ahead.
better now?
Yeah, that is a little better. All right, so you did say that heaven. I'm sorry, I'm a little hot. All right, so you did say that heaven is. Damn, I'm shiny. Yeah, I see that shiny ass head. But anyway, you did say that heaven is a place where we can live forever and never die. That sounds kind of torturous. Why would you want to live forever? And number two, what are we doing in heaven? Is heaven the joy of basically like everlasting joy? Like, is there any sadness?
God promises in His Word there will be no tears because there'll be no sadness.
No sadness. All right. So being sad is part of the human condition. Like I'm starting to be a therapist, right?
Will not be
And
human.
hold on, Essence. Yeah, let me just finish real quick. All right. So being sad is part of our conditions, right? It makes us freer. Like we need sadness. As human beings, we need that. You feel what I'm saying? Because in my studies to be a therapist, I've noticed that there are a lot of clients out there who have never actually broke down their wall of sadness, and when they do, they become more effective people, right? Sadness gives us empathy and everything like that. That's where empathy and compassion comes from. It comes from the point that we are sad and we can see other people sad, and we don't want other people to be sad, right? So if that's the case, if heaven has no sadness, it takes away part of our humanity. I don't see how that's a good thing.
Well, we will not be human. We will not be in human bodies. We will not. You're thinking of flesh. We will be in spiritual bodies, and
Okay.
spiritual bodies are different. God promises there'll be no tears. Okay, there'll be only happiness in the eternity.
Yeah, that sounds like robotics. Like that sounds like we're robots. We're just forced to be happy all the time.
Nobody will force you to be happy. It's just nothing. There will just be nothing that offends. There will be no evil, no wickedness, no crime, no wars, no.
Cool.
Nobody's forcing you. It will be a beautiful, wonderful place to live.
That sounds extremely boring. Now, I'm not saying that crime and hurt. Hold on, give me a second. Give me a second. I'm not saying that crime and hurt and war are actually good things. But what I'm saying is that it sounds like if it's all just happiness and joy all at the same time, there's nothing. That sounds very mundane. There's nothing enjoyable there. Like it sounds extremely boring. Like you don't think so? Like monotonous. Before we even get into that problem, How do you know all this is true?
Because it's written in God's word, and then knows God's word is truth. He is truth.
How do you know God? What is God's word? The Bible, or another book?
The Bible. He's the author.
The Bible. Okay. How do we know what the Bible is saying is true?
Because God is the author. He only used the prophets and the disciples and
Cool. How do you know that?
to do the penmanship, to do the scribing.
Cool. Cool. That's nice. How do you know that?
Have you ever read the Bible?
Yes.
Really? Because not many people read the Bible and don't feel God's emotions, how He loves you. He loves His children.
I
God
beg,
loves
I
you.
beg, I beg to differ. I beg to differ. Lots of us have read the Bible. It's essence. Give me a second. Give me a second. I beg to differ. Many of us have read the Bible multiple times and think it's a load of crap. So it's not always just once. There's not many people who read the Bible and don't feel God's love. I've read it multiple times. Now I'm in the middle course of reading it again. I'm somewhere in Genesis. I got to go back because it's been a few weeks, but. Yeah, I'm reading it again, and I'm not feeling any love. I'm just reading a book that comes off as historical, legendary fiction. For example, my friend Mac here. Mac, you've read the Bible lots of times before, right?
Maybe you're not reading it with understanding.
No, not lots of times. No.
But you read it.
Not in its entirety. No.
Yeah, not its entirety. Right. I haven't read it in its entirety, like back to front. But yeah, I've read it. And when you say that we need to read it with understanding, what does that mean exactly?
It means before you even begin, pray and ask God for understanding, and He will unlock the scriptures to you.
You have to believe it before you understand it, right?
You
So
have
I
to
have
invite God in.
So I have to presuppose that it's true in order for me to read it?
Pardon you?
I have to presuppose that it's true in order for me to read it?
You have to preach, you said?
Presuppose, like meaning I have to assume that it's true before I actually read it.
No. But ask God to help you with understanding. If you
All right,
ask
but-
Him for wisdom, He'll give it to you.
Essence, the issue is that I have no reason to believe that God even exists. So why would I ask something that I don't know and don't think exists to help me read something that I don't believe?
Why would you not think He exists when you wake up every day? He gives you the breath of life. He created oxygen. He created...
Right. The question is, Essence, is that you're just saying that He created life in essence and woke me up. How do you actually know that?
God has healed me from a devastating disease that all the doctors told me was incurable. And so I just surrendered to God and stopped listening to the doctors, stopped going to doctor's appointments, stopped taking medicine, and God completely healed me.
Okay, and there are people who did that and died.
Because they probably did not have faith. God only heals those that have faith.
My godmother, who was in church for 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, who moved here from Haiti in order to do more missionary work, didn't actually believe.
Was she a Christian?
Yes. I just said she moved from Haiti to here in order to do more missionary work, and she did missionary work here, in Haiti, in Jamaica, in Africa, for almost 40 years and died of brain cancer. So she never believed? Why would she do all that and not believe?
Well, maybe it was just her time to go, but God healed me probably for a purpose, so I can tell you and glorify Him and tell the world what He has done for me.
Okay, so my godmother, so God killed my godmother, but saved you in order for you to come to TikTok and talk to me?
The brain cancer killed her, not God. Don't blame God.
Okay, so the brain cancer killed her. Okay, cool. So my God, so God didn't save my godmother, but He saved you in order for you to come to TikTok to tell me that God didn't save my godmother. That seems very gymnasticy, you know.
Doesn't God create all things, good and evil?
He doesn't create evil. The word evil in the Bible is usually calamity.
Okay, so is brain cancer a calamity or no?
Yes, but man.
Okay, so God created it.
Pollution, polluting the water, polluting the air. A lot of these
Oh
things.
no. Essence, cancer predates humans by millions and millions,
By millions of years. Yeah, I mean, cancer can just pop up out of nowhere, like Hodgkin's lymphoma. I'm not butchering that. I'm saying that completely wrong.
Non-Hodgkin's?
There we go. Hodgkin's lymphoma. That's what I meant to say. Non-Hodgkin's. Yeah, my bad. Yeah, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, for example, is just something that pops out in your body. Like there's no environmental reasons for it. It just happens. You know.
Well, we probably don't know.
You also agreed that brain cancer is a calamity.
But all things, God does all things for the good of those that love
Okay,
him.
but I really need you to land on that. Like, I really need you to sit with this for a second. What of what I said was false? What part of what I said was false?
Because God loves us. He doesn't want that hurt us.
Essence. I said two things, didn't I?
What did you say?
I said God created calamity. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
And brain cancer is a calamity. Do you agree with that?
It's a disease.
Okay, are diseases
Essence.
calamities?
If you want to call it a calamity, I guess.
They're
I think they
definitionally
are.
calamities.
I think they are. Yeah. So if diseases are calamities and God creates calamities, then yeah, that would mean that God creates, diseases or diseases and sicknesses just to transient property, right? Now I know that's not something that seems that something that a loving God would do, and I would agree with that. The point that the fact that right, hold on. Let me just land this right here. I'll let you respond. Let me just land this right here. The fact that things like diseases and cancer and children who are born with bone cancer, the fact that that type of stuff exists shows to me that either there's no God at all and things just happen and we just live in this world and we have to deal with it, or if a God does exist, he's probably not loving and doesn't care for us. You know what I mean? The existence of unnecessary suffering, especially for like babies who born with bone cancer, shows that if a God does exist, he's not caring. It contradicts a caring God to me. But you can tell me why to you, why it wouldn't.
If God healed every person and child that has cancer, like my husband just recently died of cancer, but he was 78.
I'm sorry to hear that. I really am.
But if God healed every person that was sick of every disease, people would praise the doctors. They wouldn't praise God. They would say, "Oh, the doctor healed me. I went to the doctor and took the medication, and the doctor healed me. I did chemo and radiation, and the doctor healed me." They would not give God the praise. So why should God heal people that are not going to acknowledge Him and give Him the praise?
Why is God so needy?
I'm giving Him the praise for healing me.
Essence, does God? What's more important to God, that we prosper and do well, or that He gets kudos? Because you're literally saying that why is it worth making people live well, or if He's not going to get His praise for it? Like, do you understand how narcissistic that makes your God?
Yeah, that does sound very narcissistic, because every single person that I've met that said that I won't help you unless I get praise was very, very, very narcissistic. So if you're saying that God is not going to heal all his people because they'll be thinking the doctors instead of him, that sounds very narcissistic. And number two, they should be thinking the doctors. They're the ones who went to school for 15 years in order to help us. Like in the history of humanity, simply praying has never healed anything.
Only God can heal. Doctors can't heal anything.
All right, so like you said only God can heal. All right, so you're saying that if someone gets a tumor, they shouldn't go to the hospital and get an operation. They just pray to God and the tumor will disappear.
That's me. I had that.
Well, it's the person's choice, because most people will believe in the doctor more than they will believe in God.
Yeah, you know what? I had a cancerous tumor developing in my mouth for a while, and yeah, no God got rid of it. I went to a doctor and they did surgery on me and got rid of it.
Well, God healed me of cancer, and I didn't take anything from the doctor.
That's great, Essence. That's great for you. You know what I mean? Like, cancer does go into remission. But for the vast majority of people out there, they need chemotherapy or they need operations. You're saying that God is the one that heals. So everyone should just convert to what you say and pray all the time and never go to hospitals again? Why do doctors even exist then?
Well, one of the apostles was a doctor, Luke. Okay?
Yeah.
Dr. Luke, a medical doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure he used natural methods, because God is natural. He's supernatural. And he will not take credit for all of these artificial medications and things that people are creating. But God also gave Luke the power to heal, to lay hands on people and heal with faith Okay, so doctors they can give us some comfort, okay, but they can't actually heal. Only God does the healing. And when people begin to understand that and use their faith, do you know the story about the woman that had an issue of bleeding for 12 years and all she wanted to do was be healed? And she
Yes,
got
I heard that story. I grew up in church, so I heard the story. My question is this, Essence. I've known people, like my father was a respiratory therapist, my mother was a nurse, right? They've helped plenty of people out in like appendicitis and things like that. Like I used to work in a hospital. I used to always see people come in for an appendectomy because of appendicitis. Anyone who doesn't get their appendix taken out when it's inflamed, it's gonna explode and those people die. Like I've seen hospital records of people dying from appendectomy. Are you saying that when someone has an issue with their appendix and they have appendicitis, they should just pray it away and hope that the explosion doesn't kill them? Or should they go to the hospital and get their appendix taken out? Which one should they do?
They should pray and ask God for guidance. God will direct them if they should go to the hospital or just trust in the Lord.
Okay, so what if they pray for guidance to not go to the hospital, right? And they don't go to the hospital and they die. Do you know how many people will be dying of appendicitis in a year if people did what you said?
Well, first of all, you have really no understanding of life and death, because
Yeah, sure I do. Death is when your brain stops functioning and you're not alive anymore.
right, only the flesh body dies, but the spirit returns to the Lord who created it.
Okay, how do you?
You're either alive in heaven or on earth. So you just transition to another dimension. The flesh goes into the earth, but your spirit returns to the Lord.
Awesome.
Okay? Every soul
Awesome.
that God has created is still alive.
Awesome. Can you prove to me that spirits exist?
Can I prove to you that spirits exist?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Jesus Christ resurrected.
How do you know? Wait, how do you prove that Jesus Christ resurrected?
Because there were eyewitnesses that saw him,
Like,
that witnessed his crucifixion, that witnessed his resurrection, that witnessed
right. Like who?
that. Well, let's see. The people that were at the cross were the ladies, Mary Magdalene and Mother and John.
Great. Now, do we have any records of any resurrection in Mary Magdalene actually, or who Mary Magdalene was with? Because in one book it says that Mary Magdalene went there and saw an empty tomb. Another book says that Mary Magdalene went there with a few women at nighttime and they saw two angels. Another book says that it was Mary Magdalene and they went in the daytime with a few women and they saw one angel and standing over a rock. Which one of those stories are true?
Well, I don't know if you read the King James version or not, but
I am. I've read the King James version. I've read the NIV, which is terrible, and I've read the NSRV, which is the better one. And all four of them are the same way. In one book, it's Mary by herself. In another book, it's Mary with a few women at night, and there's two angels. In another book, it's Mary with a few women in the morning, and there's one angel. Those all can't be true at the same time. So which one is the true one?
But yet there are three. Yet there are three books that are written about the same subject. Okay, so.
But they don't all tell the same story.
Right. That's what I'm trying to. That's what I'm trying to say.
They really don't contradict each other. The reason they're
Volsi just told you how they did.
They do contradict each other, like because Mary Magdalene by herself, and then another book saying Mary Magdalene went with a few women at night, and another book saying that Mary Magdalene with a few women in the morning, and one has one angel, another has two angels. Those are two different things. Like one has, matter of fact, they even switch up how the angels are. On one of them is one angel sitting on top of the rock, and another one is two angels standing on the side of the tomb, and the rock is moved.
So one angel is Jesus.
Hold on. Listen to what I'm saying to you, all right? In one of the book, it's one angel sitting on top of a rock, and the rock is in front of the tomb. And another one is two angels standing beside the tomb, and the rock is moved, and Mary is there with a few women in the morning, and the other one was one angel is Mary with a few women at night. Night and morning are not the same thing. One angel and two angels are not the same thing. Rock in front of the tomb and rock not in front of the tomb are not the same thing. These all contradict each other. So which one of these are right?
Yes, but yet in the same is still about Mary testifying that Jesus resurrected. That's the point there. And Mary testified that Jesus, and she
Right.
witnessed.
I understand that.
Wait,
I understand
where
that
did-
Mary is
where did-
testifying. Okay, go ahead, Matt. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Where did she testify? Where do we have her testimony?
She ran back to the disciples and said, "The tomb is empty. The tomb is empty." And they didn't believe her. And then Peter jumped up and ran. And
That's a story about her. That's not her testimony.
God used her to go and tell the disciples.
Right. I understand that's what the book says. What Mac is saying is that Mary Magdalene is not the one that's testifying that. Someone wrote a story about her. How do we know that she's the one who did this actually? Or that she even existed as a person? She probably did, but still.
Hey, real quick, can I test my mic?
Oh yeah, you sound good. You sound good. Thank you. Thank you, California. No problem. All right. Essence, we got about a few more minutes. It's been fun, but we got a few more minutes. You have any last thing? Did you want to pray for us?
Well, you're a young man, and I hope that you will see how much God loves you, and He's just waiting for you to open your eyes and turn back to Him, because His arms are open, and He's.
All right, guys. I appreciate you all being here. We got 7K likes, about 40 people in here. I appreciate that. Everyone who's watching me on YouTube, I appreciate y'all. Everyone who's watching me on Facebook, I appreciate y'all as well. Go ahead, keep liking the live, keep sharing, keep liking the live, keep sharing. My co-host Mac is here. Mac, I appreciate you being here. We finally got on a live together, brother. I appreciate you, Mac.
I was glad to be able to catch you, man. I know less common lately. Hope you're doing well.
Yeah. I've been doing a lot better. You know, what I mean, the community really helped me out. Family really came together to help me out. Friends as well. Like it was a tough few months. You know, what I mean, tough few months, but
I hear you.
yeah, we was able to pull it together. You know, what I mean, wife is doing a lot better. So I'm
That's
going
great.
back on. Yeah. So I'm going back on. Getting these lives popping again. I'm trying to get back into the algorithm because if you don't go live for a while, the algorithm forgets about you. So I got to be consistent again and try to get into the. I'm sorry, my little. Yeah, there we go. I'm trying to be consistent again, get back into the algorithm, and hopefully I can get back up there. But I appreciate you being here, Mac. I know you be on Christina's lives a lot. I'll be missing Christina's lives because she goes in the afternoon or like early afternoon, and I'll be at work, man. That's the only reason I'll be missing them. But hopefully I can get.
I'm very lucky that I can. I don't have a lot of meetings during the day. But sometimes you see me on mute for a while. That's because I'm in a meeting.
Yeah, exactly. All right, we got California up on the stage. Cali, how's it going?
Good, yourself?
I'm all right. I'm sorry that we took so long to get to you, but I appreciate you being here. All right, so California, are you over 18, and do you believe in some sort of God that created heaven?
Yeah, I'm 47. Apologize didn't know what happened to my mic earlier.
All good.
Yeah, I do believe in heaven.
Cool. If heaven isn't real, humor me for a second. If heaven isn't real, would you still be a good person?
No, and the reason I popped in to see your live because this seems to be like a TikTok trend, and I'm just trying to see where you guys are coming from and why you would ask this question, because you said that yourself that you're studying to become a therapist. I'm studying to become a psychologist. I think in some sense, if there was no heaven, right? We all need some, just as yourself or anybody else, I'm sure, a reason to be good, right? There's got to be a purpose to be good. And if all these people, let's say they didn't believe in heaven, they're just like, you know what? There's no heaven. I'm just going to go out and be crazy, right? So as therapists and people who deal with different personalities, whether they believe in the God or they believe in something, our ultimate goal, I would believe, is to say, hey, let's figure something out to the purpose for best of humankind. And if that is that people believe in heaven and it makes them a good person, then I find nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, here's the thing that's probably going to surprise a lot of people. I don't disagree with you, right? Whatever is going to make you a good person, I think you should utilize that. I've told people this all the time, right? If tomorrow a Christian were to tell me, if I don't believe in this anymore, I'm going to go out and hurt somebody or myself, I will drag them to church myself. You know what I mean? I will drag them to church myself. I will drag them to the mosque myself. I'll try to drag them to the temple myself. If you are a religious person and you say that if I don't have my religion anymore, I will not be a good person, I will hurt somebody or myself, I will take you to your religious like ceremony, whatever you need to go to, your mosque, your temple, your church, whatever it is. I will take you there myself. You see what I'm saying? As someone who doesn't believe in any of that, and I will sit there with you just to make sure that you're there, because I don't want you to hurt yourself. I don't want you to hurt anybody else. You feel me? Like, I do agree with that, right?
Absolutely.
Here's the thing that I would also say: if you're a type of person that you need this book or this religious thing that no one can prove in order for you to be a good person, there might be something deeply wrong with you, because from what we understand about human nature, we actually don't want to hurt each other. Yeah, there's parts of our human nature that's disgusting, like greed, selfishness. Those things can be pretty disgusting, right? But no one naturally wants to go out and hurt someone else. Even people with ASPD, like complete psychopaths, they don't just want to go out and hurt someone else. They just don't care if they do it, right? They don't have that serotonin response of hurting someone and feeling bad about it. They just don't have that. But they don't have the actual desire to go out and do it. The way the media portrays it is not really how it is. Like, people with ASPD are not actually the Joker. That's largely not how it is, right? So it's like human nature is not like that. We don't naturally want to go out and hurt people. So if you're saying that this religion is the one keeping that in check for you to not go out and hurt people, something is very, very deeply wrong with you. You see what I'm saying? And that's where I come with it at.
I'm sorry. I think that it goes deeper than that. Like, let's say that somebody has to have the reason their parent passed away or a child passed away. Because I have 2 children, man. And I'll tell you what, if something happened to my children, I probably would blame God. I probably would go into that spiral, And I mean, you always ask those questions, right? When I retired as a correctional officer in the Department of Corrections. And we had this convict who I had a rapport with from a different prison that I worked at, and I came to this prison. And they asked me to come over and get him to take his medications. And if they don't take their medications, we got to suit up, go in, extract them, pull them out, and do whatever to this guy, right? So I pulled the food port down, and I said, "Hey, God, come take your medication." Guy got up, grabbed his medication, and he laid down. And one of the officers said, "I would never call somebody God." And I said, "You'll never get him to take his medication," because in his mind, he believes he's God, right? So he did something good to take his medication by me calling him God. Now, if you don't, then he's going to refuse his medication. He's going to fight you. He's going to do everything it takes. So in some sense, it's okay, and like a therapist, you to go in there and say, "I'm going to change your mind because I don't want you to believe in this." Well, that's what keeps them good, right? I want them to stay good. Whether they believe it or not, they're not out committing evil. They're not out doing things wrong. Now, if they were saying, "God told me to go do something evil," then of course we would want to change that. But to say, if heaven isn't real, would you still be good? There's a lot of people that actually would not be good if that. And I think that's a good thing. They believe in something to keep themselves centered and good and rationalize, hey, you know what? When I pass away, I'm going to see my family members. It makes them feel good. And that's, I think, the whole purpose of humanity is, hey, what makes you feel good? I want you to feel good. If you don't believe in a God, I want you to be happy, brother. And that's the ultimate goal, I think, in humanity.
I mean, yeah, I agree with you to a point, right? Like, I agree with that, right? I agree that whatever is, like I said, whatever going to keep you grounded, keep you good, I want you to keep that, right? The reason why Axis is more of an intellectual exercise, because as you already said, that, yeah, you probably would be. As another person said, yeah, they probably would be. Everyone who came up here said, yeah, if heaven didn't exist, they would still be a good person. Now, if someone says no, but I see that they're still a rational person, I want them to use that rationality, right? Because we don't know what it's like, right? Even in my practice, when I start practicing, when I start getting clients, if a Christian person comes up to me, I will use, the Bible and Christianity in order to help them out. If a Muslim person comes to me, yeah, sure, I would use, the Quran in order to help them out. I will say, like, listen, in this surah, this is what Allah wrote, you know what I'm saying? And in this verse, this is what Daniel or Elijah or David, this is what they wrote. You see what I'm saying? So I would still use that even if I don't believe in it, right? It's not for my exercise is not to, take this belief away from them and say that they shouldn't believe it. My exercise is to show them that they can be more than their belief, right? For me, like, beliefs and opinions are like backpacks that you carry around with you. They're not you as a person. You can swipe them out anytime. Like myself, I was a Christian for over 20 years. You know what I'm saying? I'm still the same person. It's just this part I don't believe anymore. You see what I'm saying? So I want them to realize that you are more than just what your faith is. You are more than just what your belief is. You don't actually need this in order to be a good person, even though you use it in order to be one. Does that make sense?
No, I completely understand. I think for ultimately, with you guys that ask the question and us that believe in a God, I think ultimately we want the same thing, and the purpose is just going to be different. I mean, ultimately, in the end, that's why we all trip up when we talk to you, and sometimes you may trip up to talk to somebody else, I don't know. Or we change our narrative, we change our thought, because I think ultimately in the end, we kind of just don't really know. But we want to, let's just say, if the Bible was true, and then you went up to Christ, right? Because there was a comedian who made a joke that says, what year is it? Well, it's 2025, right? Why are you counting the years that Jesus Christ was gone, So in some sense, there's this belief that there is something. So if you don't believe, then the ultimate thing is, for my belief, not saying yours, is that I'm going to go to hell, right? So why not, hey, you know what? This is what I believe, this is what I want to do in my life, and this is what I choose. And possibly in the end, when I meet Christ, who's going to forgive me for my sins, and hopefully, and I go to heaven, or there's nothing, right? So I look at the alternative and go, hey, I'd rather do this than the other side, right? So that's just my belief.
I got you. To me, that's kind of Pascal's wager, or it really is Pascal's wager, because obviously Christianity is not the only religion out there, right? Because according to the Muslims, both you and me are headed to the same damnation. Even according to the Mormons, me and you are headed to the same damnation, right? So it's like that's what like Pascal's wager is all about. Like, how do you know you chose the right one? For me, until one of them actually goes through the rigor of proving itself true, there's no reason to believe in either of them. But I've been talking for a while. I want to see if Mac wants to get in on this. Mac, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, I heard something when you first came up, and I'm curious if I'm understanding it correctly. Do you think a person can be good without a belief in heaven?
Oh, absolutely. I think a person can be good. Of course, yeah.
Okay, I just wasn't sure because that's kind of how it hit my ear. I just wanted to make sure I was hearing that right.
No, I think that's the biggest misconception is people saying, oh, because you're not a Christian, you're not good, or because you're rich, you're evil, and all that kind of, you know what, you could pick out different things from different places. I'm just saying this is my belief. I don't push my beliefs, and I don't think that people should push their beliefs on other people. But I've had a few people call me and know my belief and say, hey, man, can you pray for me just out of the blue? And absolutely, I'm willing to do that for them. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you how to believe. That's between. And my perception is there's either going to be darkness or there's going to be something after this. And I'm just hoping in my prayers that there's something after this, and that's just my belief. And I just don't want to be criticized for something I believe in because that's just my personal belief.
What happens in this darkness?
Nothing. Like, you're gone. There's nothing. It's done. There's nothing after this.
Listen, there's no punishment. There's no eternal punishment.
No, I'm just saying when you die, I think there's either you die and there's nothing, or you die and there's something, right? There's a spirit in you, or there's not. You're just flesh walking around, and there's going to be an ultimate, just you're done.
Yeah, but if there's
Okay, so like in your, I'm sorry, Mike, I'm just want to clarify one thing. So in your Christian tradition, Callie, there's no actual hell then. It's just like annihilation.
No, I'm saying, like, for my belief, if you're an atheist, right, that there's no God, there's no nothing, that's what's going to happen. Or in my belief, in Christianity that there's either heaven or hell.
Oh, okay, okay, gotcha.
That's the way I perceive like an atheist saying, well, I'm an atheist. That's what I perceive is then you believe in absolutely nothing's going to happen after this. And it could be wrong.
Does what I believe matter about what's real? Like, does what I believe affect what's real?
No, I want to know what you believe because I don't know that. I like to know people, and like I said, that's why I want to become a psychologist because I like to know people.
Yeah, but like if I do believe what I believe, right, and what you believe actually turns out to be true, then I would have an eternal soul, and I would be seeing eternal punishment. Would I not?
In my belief, yes, but I'm not going to push that on you and tell you that's what's going to happen.
It doesn't matter what you push on me; it matters what you believe is true.
That's what I believe for sure.
Yeah, and so do you think that's a just thing?
I'm not God. I don't decide.
I didn't ask you that. I didn't ask you if you're God. I asked you if you believe that's just. Does eternal punishment for a finite transgression does that seem fair to you?
Well, let's I'm sorry. Let me ask one more clarifying question, Callie.
Yeah.
In your tradition of Christianity, what actually is hell? Is it gnashing of the teeth, eternal damnation and fire, or is it like floating in an abyss where we're just all alone? Well, which one is hell?
Well, that perspective, I don't know because I've never seen hell, but like a lot of people perceive Satan as just this dark, evil person. Satan was the most beautiful. Lucifer was the most beautiful angel in heaven. Like, so he's very deceptive, right? So as far as what it's going to be like in hell, it could be burning for eternity. I don't know.
Okay, so there, at least in your Christian tradition, there is a hell, but y'all are not sure like what it actually is. You just know that Lucifer is a deceptive person, so you're not sure if it's eternal damnation and suffering or what actually entails it. Is that right?
In my belief, I'm not speaking for all Christians because I was getting into theology and all that kind of stuff and kind of stepped away from it. I haven't been in church in a while.
Right. That's why I asked, like at least in your tradition, because there are some Christian traditions where hell is gnashing of the teeth, like evangelists in their tradition is gnashing of the teeth, and Pentecostals as well. I grew up Pentecostal, in the Pentecostal tradition, and Methodist and Baptist, hell is fire, gnashing of the teeth. But then there's also Universalists who believe that everyone goes back into God back into heaven, so there is no hell. And there's others that believe that, I'm not sure if it's a Calvinist or some northeastern one, I'm not sure what it is, that hell is just basically annihilation, where you do live forever but you're all alone floating in an abyss. You know what I mean? So it's kind of torture in that way. You see what I'm saying? So I was asking, like, which tradition that you're part of, like what actually is hell. But if you don't have a clear definition of what hell is in your tradition, I don't think there's a way to really discuss that. Because I don't know which denomination are you. Are you part of any denomination, or you're non-denominational?
I consider myself non-denominational.
Non-dom. Okay, cool. So yeah, just to be fair to him, Mac, a lot of non-doms don't really have a clear definition of what hell is. Does that make sense, Mac?
Yeah, but I asked him what it was. Like I was.
Yeah, that's why I was trying to get clarification.
I tried to get a clear picture. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's like, but it's still eternal punishment. Like, right? Am I mistaken about that?
Yeah, sorry, Mac. Like I said, these are just my hopes and my belief of what happens at the end.
No, I understand that.
I actually like what. Well, actually, how you say your name, Volsi?
Volsi, yeah.
I mean, that would be amazing that we see everybody after this. I mean, because maybe I have family members that didn't believe or wouldn't believe, but to see everybody after this, that would be amazing. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I appreciate you guys. I shot you a follow because I appreciate your beliefs, and I hope you guys have a great day.
Yeah, not a problem, Callie. I appreciate you. Have a good one, bro. All right, y'all. I do appreciate everyone being here. We're at 9.9K likes. Let's get me to 15K before the end of the night, y'all. Let's get me to 15K before the end of the night. Yeah, sorry, Mac. I was just trying to get clarification. I saw where you were going, but he was kind of like going away from it. So I was trying to get clarification under like his Christian worldview, which one is hell? Because I've seen a lot of them. You know what I mean? I don't know if you have either, but.
Well, I do, but see, I think, and I don't know how long you want to stay on this, but like, what the problem was that he tried to give me my.
Hey, Elijah, give me a second. Go ahead, Mike.
He tried to give me my worldview as part of his answer, right? So that's why I pressed on like I don't care what I think. We're talking about what you think, right? So if you think, and he copped to it that he thought it was eternal punishment because I mean that's what Jesus says, right? In Matthew 25. So it's like this is not like some fringe thing to accept that the unrighteous get eternal punishment. And my
No.
question is just is that fair? Is eternal punishment for a finite crime fair?
Yeah,
What is
give
God's
give it. Hold on, give us 1 second, Elijah. Actually, my bad. Let me get you to Elijah for real. All right, Elijah, are you over 18? I switched up the topic by the way. Are you over 18,
Yeah,
and do you believe in some sort of hell?
24, and the only hell I believe is the one is experienced in our life.
Okay, cool. Do you believe in some sort of God?
It's more than belief for me. It's like I'm fully convinced. It's like I know there's a God.
You're totally convinced there's a God. All right, cool. All right, so according to, in your tradition, well, do you have a religious tradition at all, like Christianity, or you just like kind of believe in a God?
I was taught the gospel from a young age. I rejected it kind of because I was like a young, like why do people reject ideas? Because like what brought me closer to God was this question alone. This one question that I was asked. And I want to share that question with you.
Right, gotcha. But before you do that, so in your tradition of believing in a God, is it more of the deist tradition, or do you lean more towards Christianity?
I'd say I lean more towards Christianity because I believe in Jesus and the Gospels and
Gotcha.
and the whole entire Bible.
And leaning more towards Christianity, do you believe that Jesus was the actual Son of God that died for our sins, or he's one that kind of knew the answers? Just to get clarification.
Jesus was the truth and the light. Why do we call Jesus God? Because who else besides God would have mercy on their own unalivers? So like,
Gotcha. Okay, so more, yeah, I got you. So more that, more towards the Christian tradition, and Jesus in that tradition has more of the truth of humanity, and probably was God in the flesh.
right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, God.
Okay, gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. Now, I just needed to get some clarification. All right, cool. So, in your tradition, or at least in your thinking, hell is basically what we experience on Earth. It's not somewhere that we, that's somewhere that we go after we pass away. Is that
No, because when we pass, we go to heaven, and
all of us?
all of us, because we're under grace, and what was it? Sorry, what was I going to say? That God's righteousness is above all law, right? So the mercy of God is above all law. So we hold the law in our hearts. We hold sin. That like those people are good and those people are bad. And I'm a good person and I do right, but righteous works are but filthy rags to God, right? So any works is just, that's just iniquity, right? So,
Gotcha.
So do you not have to confess?
well,
Do you not have to repent and confess?
it speaks of the kingdom of heaven, and that's here on earth, and how do we live to God's great pleasure of how do we please God? That we
How
have.
does this answer my question?
Yeah. I'm sorry, Elijah, because we're not. You're kind of speaking in vaguenesses. Yeah, I mean, we need to get you more precise. Mac, go ahead and ask your question again, please.
Are we not required to repent from our sins and confess that Christ is Lord to get in there?
By doing so, I mean, saying that you have to do anything is a work, right? So it's
I think that's a bit of a stretch.
no, it's not.
Yeah, it's a bit of a stretch, but I'm following, or at least I'm trying to. But go ahead, keep going.
So
That's
do we
faith.
not sin because, or well, we confess to each other. Why?
Is there no separation between faith and works?
Well, hold on. Oh, okay. So water in the Bible means law, and oil in the Bible means faith. And what do we all know? That what does oil do with water? When you dump oil into water, what does it do?
Wait, what the fuck? Well, it has nothing to do with what Mac's question. Mac, I'm sorry. Ask your question one more time, please, because I got lost. Go ahead and ask that one more time, please, Mac.
About faith and works? Is there a
Yes.
distinction? Is there a distinction?
Is there a distinction between faith and works?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Distinction between faith and works. Is there a distinction?
Yes, because
Okay.
Okay, so confessing that Christ is God, is that not an act of faith?
well, it does take faith. You're right, and knowing that
It's a profession of faith, right?
right,
Right, so it's not a work.
but you can't earn heaven. It's unearnable.
You still have to accept and believe.
Well, I believe, right? But to those who don't believe, I think that God will still bring them back, and they'll all fall to their knees at the glory of God. You know that heaven is above all things of this world. That God can deliver us from the bondage of this world, from the bondage of the law, right? So
How are they going to
faith in
confess?
their hearts and
What's going to compel them to confess?
the heaven, the love, peace, and joy you experience once you get a taste of heaven, it's like 1 over infinity compared
So
to
this is just completely extra biblical then?
what?
Do you have some kind of biblical source that confirms what you're saying?
Romans 3:21.
What does it say?
It says, I remember off the top of my head, the righteousness of God without the law is manifested as witness to the law and the prophets.
And you
So-
think that somehow says that people will go to heaven and have their minds changed?
Well, why?
Sorry if I'm talking too much.
Where
No, it's all good. Keep going.
everyone is under grace, which means unmerited favor. So
Okay.
none of us asked to be born. I don't recall asking to exist here on earth. I don't think you recall. I don't think anyone does. I think God put us, because God put us here. It's not our fault whatever we do with our lives. It's God's responsibility. From what I know about God is that like I said, God's mercy transcends this world, all worldly logic. So
Okay,
Have you made it to
so
Romans 9?
every screwed up thing we do is God's fault. Based.
That's
And-
crazy.
it is
Appreciate
crazy.
you, Joyful.
And you know why it's nuts, and you know why you're going to call me
Because
crazy?
it flies in the face of what's in the Bible?
Yeah.
You know what in the Old Testament there's a story about the rod of Aaron. It was a living budding branch
Hey, let's go.
that produced almonds, right? So and it was like
Hey,
a
let's
staff.
go. We got that goal. We got that goal. Appreciate the goal, y'all. Appreciate the goal.
It
I
was
appreciate y'all give me the goal.
It was the staff of the righteousness of God, right? So what does that mean? That in order to hold the righteousness of God, you have to be a living nut. Basically, is what that meant.
Dude, this is really bad.
It's really bad.
Like I'm honestly I'm gonna tap out here.
Most
I'm
of
done.
the prophets, like,
Yeah,
I'm done
I'm-
entertaining this. Like this is just.
I'm
Let me
very,
just
very
one more
lost,
thing
Elijah.
before-
I'm very, very lost. All right, Elijah,
Not
let's
you.
go ahead. Let's go ahead and just let's make this more concise.
Okay.
All right. So the question on the board is: if hell is torture, why do I deserve that? do you believe that hell is a place of torture?
I think that hell. There's a famous author that said hell is a place where there is no love.
Okay, cool. After we pass away, after we die, do you think we all go to heaven, or do some people go to heaven and some people go to hell?
I think everyone is going to go to heaven.
Everyone is gonna go to heaven.
We're
Cool.
all predestined.
We're all present to heaven. So you're more of a universalist then.
I'd say so. That's what that's what I'm. Yeah. I guess.
All right, great. So with you, hell doesn't exist. Great, appreciate you. All right. Sorry about that, Mac.
No, it's fine. I mean, every time I run into one of them, it just blows my mind. I think, do you not read anything outside of like these cherry pick verses?
Oh, bad. Yeah, that was that really wasn't getting anywhere.
What is Jesus talking about when he says that the righteous go to eternal life and the unrighteous go to eternal punishment? Like, what is he talking about?
Yeah. What does he mean by that? Exactly. Oh boy, yeah, that was a night. All right, y'all. It is 9:46. I stripped through the topic for a little bit because we got more into hell. But I think I ran out of guests, so I may go ahead and end it off here. Is there anyone else that's live right now?
Yeah, it's actually a shit ton of people live. Let me see here.
Yeah, that's why I'm not getting nobody.
Yeah, no, I actually was gonna go live, and then I'm like, there's so many people on right now. Yeah, I guess I don't know who this is. I can't see who it is without going into their live. Shit. Yeah, Grandpa Brooks is on. Joel Reed's Bible is on.
Oh, Joe Reed's Bible is on. All right, awesome. Yeah, that's why I'm not getting any guests, because Joe Reed's Bible is on.
Yeah, he's sucking up about 500 people right now.
Yeah, man. He's talking about 500 people. I'm stuck here with like 50. So yeah, so Joe Reed's Bible is on right now. I may get someone else. All right, Shed. Let me go to Shed. Shed, would you like to come up and talk for a second? After Shed, I'll probably get off and go to Joe Reed's Bible live. See if I can get on that.
She defends.
There we go. She defends. I said Shed. All right. But yeah, I might go ahead and get on out of here. I'm just trying to get my lives back up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to do, I do these every Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. I might switch the days up because I don't want to, conflict with anybody else. You know what I mean? Because we all have...
Thursdays are not like this. It's interesting because I'm not even joking. I don't follow a ton of people. I follow like 200 or less. Mm-hmm. And there were easily a dozen people showing live on mine, which is like crazy for a Thursday. So I don't know.
Yeah, man. All right, She Defends. How's it going?
Hello.
How you doing? Are you over 18, and do you believe in some sort of God that created heaven?
No, I hate her.
Oh, okay. Great. You said the answer is yes, so I thought I thought you did. All right, not a problem. Based. That's we're all gonna be atheists hanging out here until I get another guest or I get out of here.
So are you in agreement then?
I am in agreement. Yeah, I don't believe in any divine creator, and yeah, there's no.
Okay, I feel you. Just the way that the question was proposed made me inclined to think differently. But if we're in agreement, then awesome.
All right, awesome. I appreciate you. She Defends. I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. I appreciate you though.
Yep, appreciate it. Bye.
No problem. All right, y'all. I am gonna go ahead and get up on out of here. I do appreciate y'all being here for tonight. I'm gonna be back on Saturday. Hey, appreciate you to here. I am gonna be back on here Saturday. I do these every Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays. I do have a goal of subscribers, so please consider subscribing to me. Y'all, please follow my homie Mac. Mac Attack is a great host, great person, has lots of knowledge, great arguments. So y'all make sure y'all follow Mac for the Sunday night Mac Attacks. I don't even know if you.
Yeah, I really need to I honestly enjoy going on other people's panels too much that I don't do my own enough. But I really need to because I've got subscribers now, so I need to.
Yeah, man. Go ahead and start doing. I do see you go on sometimes, but the times I've seen you go on, I couldn't come up. It was either too late at night. It was like 1 a.m. Like, damn, I gotta go to sleep. Or it was in the middle of the afternoon. I'm like, damn, I'm at work. I can't get out. But it's all good, man. I appreciate you being here. Appreciate you jumping on this live. I'll be on again on Saturday. If you go live Saturday, I'll just join you, and I'll stream it
Yeah,
that
no,
way.
I'll be at a tournament on Saturday, softball tournament. But
Gotcha.
yeah, I'll try. I could sneak in between games, so I might pop in on you if you go.
Gotcha. Appreciate you. You said a softball game is like your daughter?
A tournament? No, it's men's.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, play tournament.
Gotcha. Yeah, I got to go to one of those. But all right, so I'm going to go ahead and
Old
get
fat
out of here. Bunch of old fat dudes. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. I do appreciate y'all. Thanks for coming to this live. Thanks for coming to Bring That Smoke. This is episode 13. I'm going to keep on doing this. Y'all go ahead and pray for my hair to come back, or pray for that I get, more of a shiny head. And I'm going to go ahead and get out of here, y'all. Love y'all. Peace, love, soul. We're all just dust on a giant rock.